Welcome to another video. In today's video, I am making a heart side table because it's nearly Love Month and I'm going to be using foam again for the casting, but this time I'm going to be using an eco resin. So wish me luck. So I'm using this 1-inch foam, I believe, and I can't remember where I got these sheets from, but I suppose you could just look in your local DIY store. And before I do anything, the most technical part of this project is tracing out a heart shape. And as you can see, I have a very sophisticated way of doing this, and that is exactly what I'm doing.
The scope of my engineering genius literally knows no bound.
Once I have my shape, I'm going to use my foam wire cutter and cut this out. Make sure you have your mask on when you do this, and I'm also actually taking this outside to cut just because it gives out a lot of fumes and I don't want those fumes to stay in my indoor space. But this is quite easy to do, and as you can see, I have my heart ready. Now what I'm going to be doing is sticking this down with some silicone on my HDPE mold, and this is what I did previously with the epoxy resin and it worked like a charm, so I'm hoping this will work with the eco resin too. And if you don't have an HDPE mold, I suggest you could possibly use a sheet of plastic or a silicone mat, anything that you won't have this stick on. So I'm just using some silicone here to glue the mold onto the base. I will tidy up some of the silicone and be back the next day once it's dry.
The next day.
Okay, so it's the next day. We are ready to cast in this mold. Our silicone is now dry, and I'm going to be using a resin-crete, which is an eco resin by J Diction Officials, and I will link them in the description below along with my discount code. But basically, if you haven't used this product before, it is very easy to use eco resin, and the mixing ratios are 30 grams water for every 100 grams of powder. So I've got this large bowl that I'm going to be mixing up my resin-crete in, and I'm going to be doing this in batches because, as you can imagine, this is a very large side table and I will be needing a lot of it. So for this table, I'm going for a terrazzo look, and I'm going to be using some mother of pearl shell bits, and I'm gonna be putting them essentially in just the first layer, which is gonna be the top of my table, because the rest is just gonna be filled in with more resin-crete. And when we sand the top down, you're only gonna see the top, and so I don't need to put these in the rest of the mold. I hope I'm making sense.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
I'm going to mix my shells and pour this in and kind of like evenly spread it out as much as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and mix up various different batches just to fill up the mold almost all the way to the top. As you can see, I have literally lost count of how many more batches of resin-crete I have made, but we are finally almost at the top, and I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave it there, and we will be back the next day to unmold.
The next day.
Okay, so it's the next day. Now, resin-crete usually doesn't take this long to cure. I have just been busy. Usually it just takes about half an hour, 40 minutes, but I have been busy, and because I did so many layers on this, I figured I'm just going to come back the next day to unmold. And this is me just ripping away the foam, unmolding it, and as you can see, it's not too bad. It's coming out nice and easy. And let's not forget, I did not use any mold release or anything of that sort, so this works. And yeah, it's exciting to know that you can literally make a foam mold and just get pouring into it. So really happy with this. And there it is. There is my heart. Now there is some foam in some nooks and crannies, but don't worry, we're going to sand away all of that anyway. so that's not an issue. Also, if you would like this HDPE mold, I will link them in the description below. This mold is so handy, nothing sticks to it, resin comes out so nice and clean, and it's great to make like larger projects, river tables, etc. Okay, so now this is out, I guess the only thing to do is sanding. Yay! So I'm gonna wet sand this. I'm just putting on some water on the surface, and I have my sanding block. I believe it is 100 grit, and I'm gonna start sanding. And very soon I realized that I do not have the strength and the patience for this, so I moved on to my drill sanding disc. Not drill even, it's actually my electric screwdriver, and I have this sanding extension that I just got off of Amazon, and this works really well and really quickly. I just figured that my orbital sander would be a bit of an overkill for this project, so I'm happy to use this instead. And once again, it's just wet sanding all the way through. Okay, so my top is nice and sanded. The shells are revealed. They are looking absolutely stunning. Now, I know this was a Valentine table, but I did want to get a more muted look on this. I did not want to go for like a pink or a red, just because I want it to be a table that you can have around your house all the time. So the top is now sanded, so what I need to do is address the sides, and I have decided I'm going to leaf the sides with some copper leaf. So I'm going to use some Mod Podge and apply that with a brush and start leafing. Once again, this was an oddly satisfying process, so that's just me having some music on and leafing away. Once I'm done with all the leafing, I do go over once again with the Mod Podge to seal the leaf in. And finally, I'm going to use this sealer, a wax sealer that I have, to seal the entire thing, top, bottom, and the sides, just so you don't have any water soaking into this. And this is what this ended up looking like. Absolutely love it. Like I said, I was going for a muted vibe just because I want this to be a functional table, not just for Valentine's, but all year round. And love how those shells have that mother of pearl effect. And let me know what you think. Make sure you like, comment, sub, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye.